Hello, everyone. It is Joe. I have a bit of cold today. Uh, the last few days, I've had a head cold. So I have this wonderful voice that comes from having a cold. It comes from, you know, congestion slowing down the higher frequencies, stopping them up, so you can only hear the lower ones. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. Uh, it's raining today, and maybe tomorrow. So I'm tucked in nice and dry in my tent with lots of supplies and some good books to read. Um, Shopping for a David Data book right now, reading through some samples, and we'll keep you posted on that adventure. I plan to do some writing and perhaps some writing for hire. As you know, I write for a living, but when I said writing a minute ago, I meant my own personal writing. That may be fiction. I have some erotica titles that I'm batting around. I'm following some good advice from Ray Bradbury. Look up Ray Bradbury's advice for writers if you haven't done it. You don't need to be a writer. It's just a wonderful hour-long seminar with, an American legend. Ray Bradbury, if you don't know, is a science fiction writer who really brought just a golden love to what he produced, which is kind of rare for science fiction. That being said, he's probably best known for Dandelion Wine, which isn't science fiction. There's some fantastic elements to that series of stories, but it's not what you'd consider science fiction. Many of his other books are, but that's considered his best. So anyway, I'm following his advice. He said in the seminar to start small, to write short stories. And let's face it, Bradbury wrote almost entirely in that format. Dandelion Wine is a series of short stories that span one summertime in a boy's coming of age summer. Gosh, I can't remember the kid's name, but it's a series of short stories. It's not even a connected plot. It's more a series of realizations or moments of growth, ideas. So it appeals to me. That's something like this process of talking to you on the video, where I unpack what's in my mind and in my heart, and stick to a theme but have a lot of tangents. So for a creative person, that format is appealing. Anyway, you may have noticed my face is close to the screen because I'm not wearing my glasses. I like to see myself when I talk. If I held it far away, just wouldn't be the same. I guess I could see some, more general details. I shouldn't say details at all, more general aspects of myself and not details. But I like to see, exactly what's going on in my countenance or my expression. So, gonna do some writing, gonna do some reading. I've taken a good amount of time off of writing for hire these last few weeks, some of my clients naturally fell away. I also declined a number of jobs to give myself time to travel, but also just time away from the work, which I needed. It's one of those things where I didn't know I needed it until I had the opportunity. I made so much money last month that I was able just to say, hey, I don't have to work next month. you know, I made so much, I could spend it on things, or I could use it to explore myself, to give myself freedom. So that's what I did. And even though it's scary to spend more than you make, sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to go on vacation and spend tons of money every day just to be on vacation. For me, I don't spend a lot of money every day. I live relatively on the cheap. Not as cheap as I could if I had to, but relatively on the cheap. I certainly don't pay rent. So, taking that time despite the fear of taking time off, that, oh my God, I'll never get work again. I won't be able to come back and find work. And those fears are unfounded. I have a good number of long-term clients. I have great ability to find new ones. And I can turn that on and off. The fear that I feel was put in me by people who believed the only way to succeed in the world was to be a reliable wage employee. That's not the case. There are other ways to live. And I was trained as a young person to fit into a certain mold for success. And the people who trained me to that believed that that was the only way to succeed. And that if you accept that limitation of you need to be an employee, you need to be working for a wage or a salary, well, if that's true, if that is the only way to survive, then you want to make the most of that. You want to make the most money you can doing a job that you like more than the other jobs that you don't like. Yeah, okay, within those limitations, sure. Find something that suits you, that's not too hard, that you like doing, that pays well. That's the best you can do. And then try to rise up as high as you can through that path across your career. Save money as you go, then retire and enjoy that time if you survive to do it. As I've told you before, I had a great-grandfather who worked his whole life, built his dream house, sat down in it, and died. And that story has touched me a lot. That you can work your whole life for something and then not enjoy it. I've decided to be a snowbird, as many retired people do, now in my 39th year. Not when I'm retired and less able physically to enjoy the things that I do. I wonder if you can hear the church bells behind me. I'm not a huge fan of church bells when they play religious songs. I think that's a little, imposing of their will upon everybody. But I do like when it just does the ding dong, it just beats out the time of day. I think that's a wonderful service to let us know, oh, it's this time, and this is a beautiful way to let people know what the time is. There's other ways. You could just, have one number and then another number of rings, but they don't. They make it into a song, and they play more or less of the song depending on what time it is. That's a really beautiful way to tell you what time it is. Imagine if every time you looked at your phone to see the time, it played so many notes of a song, That would be pretty wonderful. Somebody out there needs to write an app for that. I'm not sure I'm going to choose that path, but it sounds fun. So, I've turned on this video to talk with you about an idea that came to me while I was reading and shopping for David Data books and starting my day. I'm grimacing a bit here because I want to remember and develop this new idea that's come to me. And that's what these chats are all about. I say chats, that's silly. I'm talking for as long as I want and no one else is talking. So they're not really chats. These moments, openings of my mind to yours, these offerings, I'm offering my mind and my experience in the hopes that people can get something out of it. But they're not conversations, they're not chats. But as I was getting ready today, just getting started, I had this idea. I can't remember what triggered it, what I was reading. And I read a lot of things already just shopping around that I want to share with you guys in the days and weeks to come. Hold on a second. There we go. I'm trying to sit up a little taller for the video. I'm not sure it's working, but it feels good. So my idea. It's about confusion. It's about the idea that we create our realities, that the law of attraction, as espoused by Abraham Hicks so eloquently, well, maybe not eloquently, but so intensely. Abraham Hicks can be overwhelming. It's actually enjoyable to hear those lessons from other people with less depth and more breadth. I recommend you get whatever messages you feel in your heart from many sources. If you love a certain kind of music, listen to all the music that surrounds it. Listen to the music that inspired the people that wrote the music you like. You know? If you like art, look at the art you like and then look at the art the artist liked. You may not love it as much as the art that you love, but it will deepen your love. You will see certain things that you love really well. And I feel the same way about Abraham. I love the depth of Abraham, but it's really hard to understand. Partially because she, like I, just kind of speaks in the moment and takes a lot of tangents. Because she feels a certain depth and a certain truth, deep down, that she says comes from this group of entities. Who knows? Could be that, could be her self-conscious, doesn't matter. But yeah, get that information from her and then listen to Brandon. As you guys know, I love Brandon Beecham. Listen to his podcast and hear him discuss what Abraham has said. Go to meetings. There are groups that listen to Abraham and discuss it. Get what you get out of it first and always, but be aware of what other people get out of it. It may help you wrap your mind around a concept, may help you get a perspective on what you don't believe if you don't agree with what someone else got out of it. But yeah, gather the things around what you love. It'll clarify and allow you to go deeper, which of course is ultimately the most fun. Problem is when we go deeper we get confused, and that's really the point that it's taken me a while to get there of my idea this morning. I wonder, we get confused when we feel a bad emotion. At least I certainly do. It's fascinating because we get trapped in these emotions. We feel bad, and then we keep feeling bad. We don't say, oh, this feels bad, let me do something else that doesn't feel bad. Trick is, we don't know. We know we're feeling bad, but we don't know what caused it. We can make a different choice. We can try something new to feel better. But oftentimes, and I'm so guilty of this, we can often change something to feel better that isn't the thing that made us feel bad. For me, I've changed lifestyles, I've changed jobs, changed living situations, locations. I love to change those things. But despite the enjoyment and the freedom that I've created from setting myself free of so many things, there are some bad feelings that come with me wherever I go. Letting go of possessions, letting go of staying in one place or having one job in one location. You know, there's still things that come with me that I'd like to let go of. And I like this process. I like the process of minimalism and freedom, location freedom, freedom from stuff, which is kind of natural because we don't travel with a lot of stuff. And I've learned a lot, grown a lot. I'm going to keep doing it for many other reasons. Having cleared out my headspace, my stuff, I'm going to move ahead and use my freedom to connect with different communities. Some of my favorite communities I've met along the road, I want to return to again and again and connect with. Instead of staying in one community and nurturing it, being a bridge, being a messenger between communities. Now, of course, people can send messages at the speed of light nowadays. That's pretty easy to do. It's more about it's not exactly the speed of light, is it? But it's close. But the messages I want to send and receive and share and transmit, those are from one place to another. When I travel, I ask people, have you been to Asheville? Have you been to Gainesville or Tallahassee or Athens? Some of my favorite places in the South. Because these are the places where intelligent, tolerant, open-minded, adventurous people, entrepreneurs will gather. And heck, even when I was in Macon, one of the cities with just so many challenges, even when I was there, I saw amazing things and met amazing people who are revitalizing that downtown. Macon, much like Detroit, has so much damage and so much has been destroyed or left to rot that there's so much room for regrowth, you know? If a tornado tore up a crop of wheat, that maybe not a crop of wheat, but say a tornado tore out a crop of trees. There's a lot of tree farms here in the South. Say a tornado tore up a tree farm. Well, you'd have to replant, you know, but, maybe other things could regrow there. Maybe someone says, the tornado tore up all the trees. I can't really sell them for anything because they're all torn up. Can't be used for lumber. I guess I'm just going to leave it there. Just let this property sit there. Nobody wants to buy it. I'm just going to let it lay fallow and not do anything with this property. Well, maybe other things would grow up in its stead. Maybe other trees, more noble, long-lived trees that we don't farm. We farm the quick-growing ones. Pardon me. So perhaps, other wonderful things would grow up in that. Maybe amazing fungi or creatures would live among the stumps of these torn up trees that found a habitat there. So that's what I'm saying. Certain towns have been torn up so much that you can really start from scratch. Certainly with, low rents. Creative businesses and entrepreneurs can get started doing things, on the cheap that they couldn't afford to start up in a larger, more built-up town. So, there's always these thriving neighborhoods where the so-called hipsters will start their businesses and risk, a high crime, low comfort existence in order to have their freedom. I'm not much of an urban person. I have my adventures in the woods, have my freedom out here, but I'm typically on the outskirts of creative and wonderful towns. So that was a big tangent, but I hope you can feel my love in what I'm saying. More than anything, these videos are not about me teaching you. It's about you learning from my experiences and getting a little glimpse into what someone's life is like, someone whose life may be very different than yours, and feeling the love that comes from all of us in all of what we do. So that's what I'm trying to get back to on my theme for today, which is confusion. Maybe changing your circumstances won't solve your problems. Maybe breaking up with that abusive partner won't solve the problem because you attract abusive people, and the next one and the next one are just going to be the same way. Whatever the metaphor is, we have patterns. You create patterns, I create patterns. We keep learning the same lessons until we get them right. And if we have a bad feeling, and, well, we try to fix it, and that thing we changed doesn't fix it, we can try again. The same way. Make the same mistake again, Oh, okay, well, that didn't fix my problem, so let's do something exactly the same and see if that works. It's like saying, I'm going to eat an apple. I don't like apples. I'm going to eat a different flavor of apple. Maybe this green apple. I don't like apples. Maybe this yellow apple. I don't like apples. Well, this apple is red and green. Let me try eating that one. I don't like apples. You know what I mean? We just go on and on, never straying over to the oranges and the bananas, just eating apples when we don't like them. It's silly. And it's not a judgment. It's that we're honestly trying to live better and be happier every day. All of us are always doing our best. We can't do any better than we do. We are always doing our best. Um, Perhaps finding wisdom over time is part of doing our best. Perhaps eating 5 different kinds of apples to learn we really don't like apples is our best path. And eventually stumbling across the wisdom that I'm trying to wrap my head around and speak out loud to you, which is, hey, what is it? What is it that really makes us feel unpleasant, unhappy? As Abraham says, negative emotions come when we are not in connection with Source. She's using the word source there because she doesn't like to use the word God, which means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. That being said, the word source does too, but that's what she's going for there. And I'm trying to say this right. It's a new idea for me, and just keeping it on the tip of my memory and not forgetting it is hard, because there's a part of me, I don't know how this works. Maybe it's a defense mechanism that always tries to forget the new knowledge because it's scary and might hurt us. But of course, it's the only way out of hurt. Anyway, being disconnected from Source creates negative emotions. According to Abraham, and according to me, I think it's probably true. Still exploring it. I would never say anything is always or never true, but I'm feeling this one pretty strongly. And we get disconnected from Source. We feel bad and we don't know why. And then we try to fix something so we can get back in connection and feel good, and then we don't. I love freedom, so if I create freedom for myself, I can feel good. But ultimately, it doesn't solve those sticky problems that stay with me wherever I go. Now, stripping down all the other ones, giving myself freedom and flexibility and all the wonderful things I've created for myself in my life, get rid of a lot of the obvious problems so I can see the other ones. So the ones that are left are the ones that can't necessarily be touched by logistical changes in life. They're emotional. Now, some of them are social, some of them are internal to me, attitudes I have. Some of them have to do with obstacles I've been working around that it might be good to remove. It can be convenient to just work around, like for me, a social obstacle. But at some point, it may be better just to confront that weakness. I certainly do on a regular basis practice my social skills and work on interacting with people in larger groups. As you know, I'm very comfortable talking to you guys all by myself or one-on-one. If you've spoken with me on, in person, one-on-one, I love that. But I'm working on the other stuff. So yeah, maybe by working on that social stuff, I can accomplish more happiness, get some of those unhappy triggers, those things that take me away from Source, get those under control. But ultimately, that'll just take off a few more from the pile. The real pile is within me. And as nice and fun as it is to work on our limitations and grow and become more skillful, ultimately there's an internal skill. And this comes back to some of the David data that I was reading, where he was talking about imagining yourself pressed against a lover, pressed against the world, reality, the feeling of yourself being alive. Press against the world as if it were your lover. I'm not going to quote him directly at all, but the idea that you're feeling all of the softness and beauty of your partner's body. In my case, as a masculine identified person, I'm imagining a female form, imagining, as David said, the softness of the breasts and the belly. I'm also imagining, the way a woman will embrace you when she really wants you and loves you, the way she'll press herself firmly against you, not just the kind of fake hug where people barely touch shoulders, but where the whole body touches, where you can feel her hips and her thighs, her whole body pressing against you. To imagine that embrace when we're feeling lonely or lost or confused. There are a bunch of good David Data quotes on Goodreads. That's how I accessed this one. So if you scroll down, you'll find the one I'm talking about. If that idea of imagining an embrace helps you. For a feminine identified person, you may have a different concept of embrace. You may have different needs emotionally. But I find these internal self-applied to self techniques, healing techniques, emotional strength techniques really help. And they depend on our psychology, they depend on our gender identification and a few other things. So take mine only as an example. But for me, imagining a partner, imagining the world as a partner, and feeling the world opening to me as I stay strong in my vibration to be there, to experience and witness, and explore, open, even penetrate the world. It's interesting. It's one of David Data's favorite sexual metaphors, and he'll use it a lot. The idea of the world and that which experiences the world as a duality that he compares to men and women. And when I say men and women, I mean people who identify as that. Trust me, I don't care where you are on the big old spectrum of gender identification and all the rest. Wherever you are is beautiful for you. I will try to make that point often, but if I say men and women, you know what I mean. I just really hope that, I don't hope, I know that I'm finding more and more of these things, these techniques, these ways to calm myself down. My interaction with the world is a masculine's interaction with a feminine. The feminine side of myself, of course, will seek out the opposite. The feminine part of me will seek out a strong, unyielding, confident, unperturbable, maybe better than unyielding kind of partner. The feminine in me seeks out vulnerability, seeks out experience, to open up to the divine, just as the masculine in me seeks to act upon the world, the feminine in me seeks to be acted upon by the world, by the divine in the world. So we all have masculine and feminine inside of us. When I'm frustrated, lonely, impatient, as a masculine identified person, yeah, I seek that embrace. I feel the world as a lover. I feel the world as an eager and trusting and open person, something that wants me to open them to the divine. We all open this physical reality to the divine. You know, if somebody beats a piece of metal into the shape of a cross, they're opening it to the divine. If someone fashions a star or a ring of stones, you know, and dances in their in a pentagram or a hexagram, right? A hexagram is the Jewish star, the six-sided star, is that correct? Whatever the symbols are, as we, you know, create a crescent moon and stars or whatever, we're taking physical objects and making them symbols of the divine, and perhaps making those physical objects just a little more divine. So anyway, I'm going to explore a lot more of this. I've just scratched the surface with David Data. Oops. As you can see, my cold is coming back on. I knew I would only have so much time to talk, but I'm glad I did. And heck, this would be one of my longest videos. Boy, I put everything I had into this one. So let me end this one here. I will come back to you on David Data as I explore him and his books. You can also find him on YouTube if you want some free samples, as well as free samples of his stuff on Amazon. But I think he and I have a lot in common, and I have a lot to learn from him. That feels better. So, I gotta go. I gotta take care of myself. I've given all that I can now without diminishing my ability to give you more soon. And like I said, I'll give you more on my fun adventures with David Data. And I'll also give you more about this idea of finding what it really is that's keeping you away from source. You keep changing the color of the apple, but you really need to eat oranges. It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting path, and I'll let you know as I walk along this path of this idea of what is it really? What do I really need to change? Do I need to give the universe a hug or embrace the universe as a lover instead of changing my job, changing my location? What is it that I really need to do? So there, it's been almost 40 minutes. This is my longest video ever, but I finally wrapped it up, and it was so worth it. So thank you guys for coming on this journey with me. I trust that you've learned a lot, not just from the culmination of that idea of what do I really need to change, and maybe change something outside of my comfort zone, something, you know, of course we have things we love to change and things that we don't. So maybe it's something else. Maybe we need to listen to ourselves and say, oh, when I feel this way, I do the hug technique. When I feel this way, I do this other technique. And I hope to discover a number of those inner techniques that work for me and share them with you so you can try them on for size, or maybe they'll inspire you to some creative techniques of your own. Anyway, check out how to get in touch with me in all the different ways at joeneely.net/community. That's the very best way to see everything that I am offering. And as those offerings change and grow, there'll always be a list there of how you can connect with me. I said always, that's a rarity for me, but I really like the idea of just having that little page there on the internet so you know what I'm up to, the different things I'm trying, the different channels, platforms I'm trying online to make the best possible connections with people. Like I said, I'm sure they'll change over time. By the time you see this video, maybe it'll be years from now. And I hope that page will still be there for you to read and know where you can get in touch with me. Hear more of what I have to say and connect with other people who think the way we do. So, that's it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. And you make me feel loved and appreciated. You make me feel valuable, that I have something to offer. And I appreciate every time I go on to YouTube and see that someone has watched one of my videos. Every single one, every single view, subscription really makes me feel special. So thank you all very, very much for your support, and I will talk with you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.